Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the Moaning Show. My name is HED01 and I'm your host. In this specific edition I would like to talk to you about a subject that quite frankly should be on everyone's wish list to see me complain, moan and bitch about, and that is when things don't work properly. Now, there's nothing worse than when something doesn't work the way that it should, and that also applies to people. For instance, I'll go back a few moaning shows and say that the government of the United Kingdom should have negotiated a Brexit deal by now. They don't work properly. When cars break down, and you're in the middle of an important journey. Every journey is important, no matter how far it is. It could be to your neighbour, quite frankly, to discuss something going on, or it could be a journey to the other end of the world. Just as so much more important than a couple of steps outside your door. But every journey is important, and when a car breaks down, you're kind of in the shit, and that's in the broadest possible sense. You're in some trouble, nothing's quite going the way that it should, and you're in trouble in a physical sense, which means you have to make a phone call to either your boss or to the appointment that you're gonna miss or whatever, and say, my car's broken down, I'm fucked, basically. So you have to rely on other means or whatever, okay? But usually when things don't work, it's not people, it's not a mode of transportation, although we'll go off on a tangent slightly and say when trains don't work. Now, trains these days are so pathetic compared to their older steam cousins, and it's for any number of reasons. Like there's leaves on the track, or there's snow. Snow's the biggest one, obviously. You're not gonna get any complaints from many people, because if there's snow on the line, you just don't make the journey. If you are a train commuter and you go by train to your job and there's snow stopping you from getting in, then you just phone your boss and say, sorry mate, can't come in, or sorry, I'll try and make it in later on, or whatever. And it's up to you whether you do that or not. And any number of reasons, like there's a signal failure at a station and you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's just fucking irritating, really fucking irritating. Not that I've caught many trains in the last 5-6 years, but even so, the train that I did catch was to do some Christmas shopping in Exeter, obviously just before Christmas, and it was my last chance basically to get something, and there was a train once every 2 hours. Now I got to Exeter, did the shopping that I wanted to do, could have spent a bit more time. If there was a train in the next hour, I probably would have done, but the next train was 2 hours from the time, and there was 15 minutes to go before the train that I was thinking about catching, and I eventually caught it. So public transport is a big thing when it doesn't work, and when it doesn't work properly. You can forgive a bus for being 5 to 10 minutes, well, not even 10 minutes, 5-6 minutes late. Anything other than that, it's really, really taking the piss. And the reason for that is because you get there early, or technically you should get to a public transport pickup point or stop early, just in case the mode of transportation, bus, train, gets there early. The only real reliable one is a taxi, and even then, they're really expensive, compared to buses and trains. And that's the thing, you're talking about the delays of the traffic, for one, specifically buses we're talking about now, and the amount of people getting on, the amount of people that don't quite have the money to pay, or pay immediately, if you see what I mean. So in other words, they give the driver of the bus, say, £3 when the fare's £2.50. Yeah, right, that's just a here's 50p, fucking sit down, you bastard. But you get the older people, you know, the people that have basically retired, and they're getting on the bus to do their weekly shop, or their, you know, a bit of a morning out or a day out, and they're talking to the driver, and the driver's like, and yet he's thinking, fucking hurry up, you old hag, shut up, pay me the money. And they're like, are we having a good day, Mr. Bus Driver? I had a lovely tea at and the people also sitting in the bus that have already got on it, you know, and have been on it for a few minutes or half hour or however long it takes, are also thinking the same thing the driver is. They're like, fuck off. Jesus Christ, how... I mean, yes, alright, I do get older people are sometimes lonely, they live by themselves, they want a conversation with somebody, but at the same time, you've got somewhere to go, and you have to get to your destination within a predetermined time, because you've got work, you've got an appointment, you've got somewhere to be, you've organised lunch with your friends or something like that, you know, and you get this wrinkly old fucker from, like, the street you've never heard of, and she's waiting for the bus. She's got a walking stick and one of them push trolleys, you know, push baskets, and she's only just made it onto the bus because she can't lift her fucking feet high enough, and you know, she's walking like fucking a pregnant penguin who on ice, you know, not the penguins struggle on ice, but, and again, she doesn't have the right change ready. I make sure I've got close to the right change ready. If I know the price of a bus ticket or a train ticket, I get the fucking thing ready. You know, it's like, it's not difficult. Get your fucking money ready. And this old hag, fucking Doris her name is, yeah, she'll open up her purse, and it might even be a zip up bag like this. I've got my USB sticks in, and she'll be like, she won't be able to open the fucker. You know what I mean? That's her not working properly. And she'll hunt for the right coinage as well. Instead of giving the bus driver £3, which is easy, she'll get £2. She'll put it on the little tray next to the bus, yeah, next to the bus driver, and the bus driver's basically sitting there watching her, going, "Fucking hurry up, you old bitch." And it's not that I'm trying to ever go at old people, it's just the fact that when you're running a little bit late, 5-6 minutes, and you get 2 or 3 of these type people, that turns into 10 minutes, that turns into 15, 20 minutes sometimes. And sometimes 20 minutes is too dangerous for your time to be at your destination, be it work, lunch, appointment, whatever. Your car's broken down, you've got to get the bus to pick the kids up from school, you're fucked. Your kids could be waiting outside. There's all sorts of fucking weirdos in the world. If you come in my van, I'll give you a sweetie. That type of fucking pervert. And that's just travel. That's not to mention the fucking electrical things that need to work these days. Let's take the internet for example. You're watching this on YouTube. If your Wi-Fi signal goes down, or your internet signal goes down, or is even slow, it's the end of the fucking world. You're like, what the fuck? There's no internet signal. Ah! It's not the end of the world. But the past 10-15 years or so, we've had more or less like a continuous internet signal through broadband internet connectivity, things like that. So when it goes down, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what am I supposed to do now? The fucking runs in playing, I'm playing a game, I'm playing it, I'm watching Netflix, and can't fucking do anything. And yet, your home is full of games, movies, DVDs, books, pen and paper. You can play a word game or a board game or something that isn't electrical. When you get a power cut and you can't do fuck all, there's nothing you can do apart from light a candle and muck about on a handheld device that you've got a game on or something, or you just sit there and read a book or a magazine or a newspaper, if you're still buying newspapers. God knows why you're buying them in this day and age. But that's when the internet doesn't work properly, and when you're downloading something as well, over on your console or your computer, you see that bar that tells you how long there is, and it's like, oh yeah, that'll be ready in a couple of hours, we'll be able to play or watch that. Fantastic. And then you get back to it after you've had your lunch, or you expect the time, so like this will take 2 hours to download, and then all of a sudden the internet signal just go and then it says 8 hours remaining. It's like I said, this video that I uploaded, episode 50 in fact, a couple of weeks back, it took nearly 15 hours to upload to YouTube, and I'm thinking it was a 26-minute video, something like that, but it took ages to upload. It's fucking ridiculous. Alright, my content might not be important as fucking a celebrity's how to do something or load of bollocks, but this is important to me. And when the internet doesn't work, we shit ourselves, and there's no need to. There really is no need to. You know, go do something you've been meaning to do, or do some homework, or do some housework or something, or failing that, phone somebody, talk to somebody you ain't spoken to for months on end, you know. But that's the internet. And what if, say like a cooling device at the moment, one of my previous moaning shows was about heat. Yes, I am recording these in bulk, I'm wearing the same clothes. Oh. But what if a cooling device doesn't work properly? And you're sitting there, it's too fucking hot to do anything about it. And about 2 months ago, you know, shortly after I've been out of hospital, maybe 3 weeks, and we had an engineer come out and check the boiler. The bloke condemned the boiler and had to get a new part, so I couldn't have a shower, I couldn't have a wash, we didn't have hot water for something like 15 hours. That's unheard of in this day and age. That's another thing that didn't work properly. Our boiler needed a new part, he couldn't get the part like that, or within half an hour or an hour or two. We were without hot water for over 12 hours. We don't live in outer Somalia or fucking the outback of Australia. What the fuck? You know? You know, and this different bloke came the following day, put it in, bish bash bosh, he was about 20 minutes. All for the sake of the thing that was working okay, fair to say, but it's these engineers' jobs to make sure things are working properly, or if they're not, replace it with something that does. And very reminiscent of the start of the video, we're talking about travel when your car broke down. MOTs. If your car fails an MOT test, you cannot legally take it on the road. And if they don't have a courtesy car, my dad drives an automatic, by the way, if they've not got a courtesy automatic, we're fucked. You know? And he goes out every day either to work or to the supermarket to get supplies. You know, it's like, yes, he can easily walk, but he goes to a certain supermarket because he's fussy like that bastard, and he, oh, what the fuck. And what brought this video, what necessitated it, was the recording devices I've been using up until this point, until about 3 videos ago, was starting to give buffeting or buffering style problems. You know, there would be or you could hear me and I wouldn't move. That's necessitated the move to this type of camera. Now, at the time of recording, I'm hoping to be picking up a webcam for my birthday, which is coming up. Now, the problem with that is the fact that, what if that doesn't work with the computer that I've got? You know? So, it's a bit of a risk asking for something like that, or, you know, suggesting something like that. Doesn't mean I'll necessarily get it. But hopefully that will get rid. I mean, even the quality as I'm looking at it now, you know, isn't all that great on this camera, but at least I can still talk to you. And going over the videos that I've produced in the last since I've changed the camera in the last couple of weeks, if you skip ahead to a certain section, you'll hear me say something and my voice won't match it. Or you'll hear me say something and my physical thing won't chit for a couple of seconds or half a second, and it's clearly noticeable, which pisses me off because it's not working properly. You know, you skip to a section in a video, you shouldn't have those problems. Maybe YouTube's algorithms or whoever the fuck it works sorts that out, I don't know. So if that happens in this video, I apologise, or if it happens in any previous videos since this new format I've been using, PlayStation 4 camera, if it happens in previous videos, I can only apologise. You know, things don't work properly. You know, and I keep looking off to the left because how I'm recording this is completely different to how this was done on the PlayStation 3, which was a darn sight easier. There was a specific app, you pressed a button, you fiddled around with some settings and it recorded. What I'm doing now is I'm at times looking up and seeing a video game being played in the left hand side of the screen while this records over it, which is annoying as buggery, because it's like I keep getting distracted by the action, even though, you know, it's the way this new recording thing works. Now hopefully that will be a thing of the past shortly, but at the moment it's probably the best way that I've got. If there are continued problems, then I'll have to go back to the PlayStation 3 method, and if necessary I will stop the Moaning Show for a bit just because of the problems I'm having with the recording of the fucking thing. Things don't work properly. But it's not just that sort of thing. It could be sporting regulations or rules set up by governing bodies of sports. Formula 1, for example, I've moaned about that in the recent past, you know, and Formula 1 doesn't work properly because the rules are fucking stupid, you know, and the regulations are fucking stupid. Football, again, another recent one. Rules are fucking stupid. There should be a salary cap like there is in American football. If your team earns more than 50 million a week, it's a load of crap, or 50 million a month. You know, you're taking the piss. Rules are not working properly. You know, and then you get other electrical appliances like fridges, freezers that supposed to cool and refrigerate your food, and if they stop working you're more than fucked if you haven't got any money or any way to replace them or whatever. It's like, oh fucking hell. So you end up either cooking what you've got in your freezers and maybe trying to store it as quickly as possible or whatever, you know, but that's because things don't work properly. And as much as I'm smiling about it, it really does become one of the greatest bugbears of this so-called generation when things don't work the way they should do. Because I've probably mentioned this in a previous Moaning Show, we live in a different bungalow to when Mum was still with us, you know, and we now have indoor aerials to power our television signals. And in comparison to where we were living when we got a professional in to sort out the signals and everything, you know, hunky-dory, everything's cushy, as Del Boy would say. But at the moment we use indoor aerials, and sometimes the picture pixelates when a battery operated air freshener goes off and it interferes with the fucking signal, which is absolutely pathetic. And you go to tune into a certain channel and it says, this channel is scrambled or does not exist. And you get that annoying little fucking message. Or sometimes you get white noise or whatever. Sometimes you don't get that, but we get that message that says this channel does not exist anymore. And it's like, it doesn't work properly. Our governments all across the world are failing people. They don't work properly. You know, that was a piss take, alright? But how does this affect you? How does this affect you when things don't work properly? What do you do to cope? Say, like, if the power goes out for a 20-minute spell or an hour spell, what do you do to cope with that? Because it'd be interesting to see, you know, who paid attention to my last video. Comment down below in the comment box. See, I didn't work properly then. I belched at the end of that sentence. Comments in the comment box below, please. So that's about the end of this one. I thank you very much for watching. We're cooking with gas now, and I've decided to record most of these in bulk. So that's another one in the books. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time for more moaning. See you then.